Good evening, students. I want to ask everyone today, does anyone actually have an idea of how long slavery actually lasted? So slavery lasted a little over 200 years. Did you know that on April 16th, 1862, there was a Compensated Emancipation Act? The act ended slavery in Washington, D.C. Its purpose was to help end slavery. Slave owners were compensated $300 for every slave. I am Shernay King. I am an African American. I personally have been called racial slurs. I have been physically attacked before. I have a 16-year-old son who is literally sometimes followed around stores to make sure he hasn't stolen anything. Excuse me. Today, I'm asking for you to take awareness of the injustices that are going on politically and economically with the American government in regards to the African American community. Some people believe that it ended with slavery, or it ended with the time during Martin Luther King when we were fighting for civil rights. But I'm here to tell you today that discrimination and injustice still exist. So my call to action is that African Americans receive reparations in form of land, free health care, and free college tuition. I believe that if that were to happen, there would be less crime and poverty in the Black community, therefore making America a better society as a whole. A yearly median household income in 2016 for a white family, including assets, savings, and debts, is $171,000. For a Black household, the median income is $17,000. After years of slavery and systematic discrimination, we're just too far behind. For every 100 white dollars, there's 5 Black dollars in comparison. And this is according to the Urban Institute survey of consumer finances in 2016. And they also say that the gap is getting larger. Why should we care? We should care because if things were to be evened out, there would definitely be less anger and hostility and racial incidents between Black Americans and white Americans. So now, of course, we have those that say there are plenty of successful Black people. Blacks in general, we have Oprah, a Black female who is a billionaire. We had a Black president. So we should be satisfied, right? And also, there were times when African Americans have been paid reparations. Between 1932 and 1972, there were Tuskegee experiments performed on Black men. They were given syphilis and left untreated to study the progression of the disease. Although the court settled out for $10 million, and victims went to their families and their heirs. And to this day, people who participated in that experiment receive free medical care, and also their heirs do as well. There was another incident of reparations when, There was another incident of reparations from 1927 to 1981. There were people who were sterilized because the American government believed they were unfit. They were mentally disabled, or they were poor Black women on welfare. Those people were also given reparations. Of the 177 women who actually are still alive, they did receive reparations. According to Gene Demby, who wrote the article for People of Color, A Housing Market Partially Hidden from View, discrimination against Blacks when being hired for jobs has been the same in the last 25 years. And some may say, well, you have rappers and athletes and all sort of different entertainers. Blacks should be grateful, right? I believe that if we were to give reparations to African Americans in the form of land, health care, and college tuition, that would actually avoid a lot of discrimination in our community, because I believe we would be able to do a lot more for ourselves. I'd like the audience to take awareness to the political and economic struggles of Black Americans. Although there are those who feel we should just be happy, we're not slaves anymore, we should be happy, right? That should be enough. But I believe the basic problem is that Blacks have been abused and mistreated for centuries in a political system that has been developed to work against our progress. So why only Black Americans, right? Well, I don't believe that only Black Americans deserve equality and justice, but I am Black, so it's personal for me and my community. From 1619 to 1863, slaves had made American slave owners $83 billion for 2018 dollars. In 1778, slave owners took out insurance policies on their slaves. So not only in Washington, D.C. were they compensated for releasing slaves for reparations, if any of their slaves got away, they had insurance claims on them. They got paid for that as well. So I believe that American wealth, generational white wealth, has been built on the back of slaves. So if we were to take action, sign petitions, so we can get petitions to Congress so they could take a legislation under consideration